This year has created this moment where trends obviously that would have taken years to move forward have accelerated. You talk about the need to have more women in positions of power. When we think about the urgent need to tackle some of these issues, juxtaposed with sometimes the timeline it can take to put more women into positions of power, the pipelines to really grow to maturity. How do you think about what we can be doing in both the public and private sector right now, or how us as individuals can be pushing this agenda forward in a more rapid way so that we can start to see these changes manifest themselves that in a way that allows us for a faster recovery?
Right. I think so often we've talked about these pipelines and these leaky pipelines, but honestly, we use that as an excuse. We need to talk about pathways. There are lots of different ways to come into an industry. It's not just one way. And I'll give you one example, tech. I think we should all care a lot about tech. It is pervasive in our society. I just saw you on your cell phone texting right before we got on this, right? We all use tech. But we need to give women pathways in. Today, the number of computer science graduates has gone down since the time I was in college. And it's because it's not a very welcoming place to go into technology. And yet we know if you have that first freshman class done right at college, more women will go into it and more women will persist and stay. If you give women opportunities for great internships early on and they get used to the tech industry and they say, wow, it's more creative than I thought. It's not just about zeros and ones, then they stay in the tech industry. But there are a whole host of things we need to do in industry after industry to break down the barriers and to create multiple pathways in for women and people of color, quite frankly, as well.
How do you think, when you talk about what industries need to do, there's no silver bullet solution. And each industry has its own nuances and sets of challenges or opportunities to address these issues. How do you think industry leaders need to start thinking differently about these pathways? This year, obviously, has brought these conversations to the forefront. We've seen people taking a lot more steps and the public asking for more accountability to move the needle forward. But how do you think those in positions of power need to be thinking about this differently or prioritizing it on their agenda as we move into the new year?
Well, I would say this, what gets measured is what gets done. So if you're the CEO of a company, you can set it as an expectation for your employees and for your senior leaders and your senior managers to say, we are going to move the needle on this. Have transparency about how many women and people of color you have at all levels. Look at it repeatedly, measure it, go back to it, look at the progress, and hold your managers accountable. They can do this. We see it in company after company that once it's committed to, and it's committed to on a shorter time frame, not 30 years from now, but in the next 5 years, then companies start to figure this out. And what I know is it is actually doable. We just have to commit to it.